He's the iGMS founder and CTO, Igor Kostin. What are your favorite features within iGMS?
My personal favorite feature would be the multi-calendar.
What's your favorite upcoming feature?
The AI for sure.
How does iGMS help users increase their rating?
Well, it basically automates the boring stuff, right? So
What has been the biggest lesson you've learned?
the biggest thing would be that it never stops. You always need to evolve.
What are those risks?
Well, losing control is one of the risks. It always sounds very, very sweet when there is offer. You start imagining like, oh, it's a this and that house I was dreaming for. And now I can afford it. But the mistake is that starting to live the future life, which did not happen yet.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the iGMS podcast, where we help short-term rental hosts by highlighting other important people in the short-term rental industry. I'm your host, Santiago, and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager here at iGMS. And if you haven't heard about iGMS, iGMS is the short-term rental management software for hosts on the go. So what does that mean? That means we help you connect your Airbnb to all other booking sites and automate all those time-consuming tasks from messaging guests as well to cleaning and all the other tasks. So visit us at igms.com and start your free trial. But without further ado, we have a very, very special guest today. He's for a very second episode that is on the live studio here in Vancouver. He's the iGMS founder and CTO, Igor Kostin. How are you doing today, Igor?
Hi, Santiago. Doing very, very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just got to meet you in person for the first time on Friday, and it's been great so far. I learned we both DJ, so maybe we can get into that later. But beyond that, you also have a really important role here at iGMS, and maybe you can tell people about that, what you do here at iGMS.
Perfect. In 2 words, I'm in charge of technologies. Or was it like 4 words?
There you go.
Yeah, since we're a SaaS company and it's all about software. And so basically, I'm the main guy behind the technology itself.
Fantastic. And what does that mean? What does your team look like? How many people are on your technology team?
Oh, we have over 25 people that are tech savvy, that including like designers and testers and engineers, of course.
Amazing. And not only are you the head of the technology, but you're one of the co-founders. And I'm curious to know, how did it get started with iGMS and founding this company?
The initial company that we started with my partner was a property management company. And before that, we were looking for some startup idea. To be honest, like I wanted to start new tech here in Vancouver. And we did not know about Airbnb at that moment at all. So there was an idea to build something like cleaners on a call or something like that. And as we started our journey in experience, okay, so there is some demand for cleaning, for recurring cleanings. Who those customers are? They turn to be Airbnb managers and Airbnb hosts. And we quickly steered our business towards servicing those guys because they had the money.
Yes.
And we started a property management company at that point.
That's incredible. So yeah, before you even started the software for managing all these properties, you yourself were a host and built up a management company to over 100 properties. Is that right?
Yeah. Me and Ivan. Yeah.
That's crazy. And then before we go really into it, I'm curious, take us even farther back than that. So how did you even meet Ivan, and how did you come to even start your first company with him?
As I was saying, like at that time, so I was experimenting. Like I wanted to invest in the technology, and I was looking at something like TaskRabbit replication of that in Canada because it was getting on speed in States. Mm-hmm. And I had my first child at that times, and there was a baby shower, and for some reason there was this guy called Ivan who was just randomly appearing on my baby shower, asking questions, talking about business, and I had no idea who invited him, but we ended up to be connecting on the business topics easily. Wow. And from that point we started to bounce ideas and came to the conclusion that where we can build something together. And this is how initial property management company was born.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never hear founders finding each other at baby showers, but maybe it's a low-key networking event, most underrated networking event that no one uses.
I don't know how many he actually visited at that day. Maybe it's his strategy.
Yeah, he just goes to a bunch of baby showers
Right.
until he can start more companies. And diving into iGMS for hosts that maybe are interested or just people that are curious of what it does, what are your favorite features within iGMS that hosts can use to optimize their hosting?
Well, my personal favorite feature would be the multi-calendar. By just going through this life of property management company that has grown so fast, it's like your dashboard, like what it looks like overall, how many check-ins you have, what's the guest, what's your total pace, right? You want to have a bigger picture of your business. And I think it was like 3 different versions and approaches to customize this, to develop this multi-calendar. I think it's still a killing feature for us.
Yeah, it's the most popular. When I'm talking to users, it's the one I get the most feedback on. Of like, this is obviously the core and essential. And for those who don't know, the multi-calendar shows you all the different stays and how they're booked and like forecasting it out to the future. So if you're connected on Airbnb and Vrbo, etc., you can all see it in one continuous place, which is like, I'm assuming it changes the game for someone that manages a bunch of properties.
Yeah, it calms you down for sure. If being an operator, you're on top of that. Like if you understand where all the cleaners are overloaded, how do you plan it, how you're progressing overall, right? Like what's your fill rate? After all, you want to make money every day, right? And don't be unoccupied.
That's great. And so you shared a little bit about what's your favorite feature right now. What's your favorite upcoming feature that hasn't been released yet?
That would be the AI for sure. Like we've been working on the AI part for a long time, so it's still kind of in the bush. Like it's hidden a little bit, but we're doing a really good progress. And I'm a stronger believer of AI optimizing everything in our lives, and this is going to be big.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I can't wait to see more of that. Obviously, we can't share everything about how we're going to implement AI. Before in the industry, you were very much hosting these different places. What would be some advice you would give to beginner hosts who are just starting out in the short-term rental industry?
The rating is the most important. So basically, we are in the hospitality industry, right? And you need to be an awesome host. That means that you need to learn how to communicate well, how to support your guests. Like the more touches you do, the more appreciation you get back. And pretty much, the angle of growth for yourself is basically how much value you provide for their experience. So not only everything should be on time and as planned, but also you should feel what it looks like to be the guest on another side, right? So you want to create a special, unique experience for them.
Yes, and that gets me thinking, how does iGMS help users or hosts increase their ratings?
Well, it basically automates the boring stuff, right? So like every property manager has its own system, right? And our software provides the environment where you can set up all your procedures and automate everything. So you don't forget about key exchange or some problematic situation, like some legal documents, all the payments details, and like pretty much information of all the team members within your company. And all the cleaners need to be on time. What if it's not on time? Who is in charge to be replacing the cleaner? So like, as you grow, you have a lot of managers involved into your property management business. And this is where the team management is very, very important, as well as all the automation and tools that you use.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. All the automation makes sure that you don't make a mistake, and also make sure that people get responded to in time and keep those ratings high by, leveraging something more consistent than yourself or a human even. And within the short-term rental space, where do you see opportunities for hosts right now?
Well, the major opportunity is that the market is still growing, and I don't really see where it's going to be turning. You know, all the governments keep printing money, and the money will attract the money all the time. So like there is always this class of people who traveling, and if you take a look, like how many people actually get this freedom to travel, it's more and more every year. It's basically this is like the environment that we go into with this technology, right? Technology automates everything in our lives, so we can get more time to travel, to explore the world. And short-term rental is a big engine of that. It's a sharing economy now. I don't need to be having a lot of money to be traveling. We basically exchange the houses and homes, and you travel to my city, I travel to your city, and basically pay each other the net zero, right? It's like the same money just circulate in the economy after all. So I think this market has a lot of potential to grow even further. I don't see any time close it to stop. I don't see it stopping. And there is huge opportunity to get this freedom for your own life through be part of the business itself.
That's really well put. Everything from this in general, the opportunity with across the short-term rental industry just keeps on growing, and then the individual opportunity to capitalize on that, and to help hosts with that. What do you think is the biggest mistakes you see beginner hosts doing?
Like the beginner hosts think that they have this guts feelings, right? So like you just like feel like this is the right thing to do. But then market shows you, there is more opportunities if you just go take a course on. There is so many informational courses right now available on the internet regarding short-term rental. By just learning that, you save yourself a year or two, and quickly grow from that.
That's really well put, to continually learn and grow from your first experiences. Because if you're too stubborn, you're probably just going to run into different walls and not overcome them. One thing I keep coming across talking to users and hosts is a lot of people moving away from Airbnb and into hosting their own guests through their own website. I want to ask you, what do you think that is? Why is that, do you think, is becoming more popular?
It's basically, because Airbnb grown so fast. They grown so fast, so now they became into this phase where they cut in more and more in terms of your revenue. So 18%, and I don't think that's going to stop over there. So like it's just normal cycle, right? It's a big machine. It's a big business. And a lot of hosts start to realize that, own brand is where you need what you need to survive, right? To get more revenue, because otherwise you really dependent on the bigger players like Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com, and they dictate all these cuts there and here. But after all, if you're here for the long game, you need to invest into your own brand, which means direct bookings.
And what would you recommend to someone looking to start with direct bookings? They have a couple properties, but they want to start doing, not depending on those big OTAs and booking sites.
First of all, go set up your website, direct booking website, with an engine that is ready to go, well tested. So you don't want to hire independent developers. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. You can use iGMS. We have a free version, and set up that and spin it up. And once you have your direct booking website, what's important is basically you starting to invest into your own brand. Come up with an idea, with a name. This is what you're going to show up on a Google Business. This is what you're going to put into your property on a card, like we're this and this host, right? So you want association. We want to make a story out of that. So it brings value not only to the guests, but also for your own life. So now you invest into your own business and story and brand. So it enriches your own life, or if you have partner, your partner's life as well, right? So it's like
Wow.
there's more than just your own.
That's super insightful. Just going beyond just putting up your property, but then telling people about yourselves and creating a story around the properties you might be posting and hosting. Um, what do you think people that are hosting direct booking websites, what do you think they can do to increase their direct bookings?
It's a good question. So first of all, I strongly recommend to register on Google Businesses. So even if you have single property, you can, with that address, you can actually sign up and create this local business or on your map, right? The second, you wanna establish some social media. So like start participating into your local hosts and groups where the tourists would go. Start to publish the information about for your guests, for your potential guests on your website. So become the tool, the resource where people, the travelers, can get their idea when they planning the trip to your specific city or destination, right? So not necessarily promoting your own services, but promoting the experience that they can get by visiting your place, right?
Yeah. I found that a lot too, talking to users, is the ones that are very successful with the direct bookings, they're going beyond just the booking of maybe their Airbnb. It's like add-ons like a jet ski if they're by the water, or a golf cart, or a wine experience, like going beyond, just the sitting there as well.
Yeah, creating the unique experiences is what's important. That's just what all Airbnb is all about, right? It's not that boring hotel industry anymore. It's like live like local and think about that. Like being a local in your place, what's a lifestyle looks like there, right? It's like what do you normally do if you are a tourist in your own local city, right? Think about that, because this is what the guests that come into your place want to experience. Promote it, just share it, and you'll attract a lot of guests.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for that advice. And I'm curious, beyond the short-term rental advice, as a CTO, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned over your past decade working here at iGMS?
Well, the biggest thing would be that it never stops. You always need to evolve. You achieve you set the next goal, you achieve the next goal, and there is magically the next step in front of you right away. So it's a journey. It's running the business in the tech industry. It's always a journey, and not because the short-term rental is requires us to constantly develop new things. No, it's all technology that develops. Like when we started, there was no such thing as AI or automation. Like there was no linguistic models at all. LMs did not exist. Now we have this AI thing, ChatGPT everywhere, and people are talking about that. And you need to figure out how to incorporate this into your business and lives and the processes. And on top of that, there is a whole bunch of blockchains evolving, right? So that's banking industry changes a lot. Financial sector changes a lot. So we constantly evolving within as a technology experts here. We evolving with our brains and trying to align all these patterns and build the product on top of that.
Yes, that's really well put. And talking to Ivan, he talks about that adaptability. So it's always on when you're leading and founding a company and continuing and innovating. What do you think is the hardest part of continually trying to innovate with features and creating features that hosts really use?
I would say the old beliefs that also weights you down. Being in a position of CTO, I constantly used to interview people, a lot of people on technical positions. And you can really tell that someone who learned and basically invested 10,000 hours in specific technology, how hard to move from that specific skills to something that is just brand new, even though he understands or she understands that this is like 10 times better technology now. So the change like that, the people really, it's hard for people to change, especially when they invested so much in specific topic. But technology changes so fast, we need to adapt, and everyone in my team basically doing that. So that's the hardest part.
That makes sense. I can imagine that being really tough, especially among your own team. What do you do to make that easier when you're constantly changing technologies to the latest thing?
We do internally. We do hackathons. We do experiment. We do Hack Fridays, where people encouraged to use new technology and share that with the team and play, even if it doesn't bring any results specifically on that day. At least we tried. We made a sense of something new. I also always excited for the new team members that are coming our way. So I give them a chance to actually bring the new technology stack or try something that they're very experienced or passionate about, especially if it's a modern technology within like last 5 years. That always a good, like I call it, it's a new blood energy.
Yeah.
It works really well sometimes.
That makes sense. And I can already imagine just how, stuck people can be in their ways if that's what they became an expert in, right? So then it's like you have to, guide them along and do these different types of events or hackathons to make sure that there's like a culture of innovation within the company. What are any other critical lessons you learned as an entrepreneur that you might pass on to someone else starting their first startup?
Well, the bottom line is very important. Never run out of money. Just keep an eye on that one. I think Ivan mentioned before, we went through COVID. This is where we got debt obligations to the bank, and it was not easy. And the bottom line is like pretty much the blood of our organization. So keep an eye on that one. It's basically what pushes you to evolve your organization for the next wave. And it never stops. You got comfortable, you break even, and in order to grow further, you normally, if you come up with a new plan, and go all in again, right? But that's the main part.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, that's super interesting, because talking to other startup founders, you're hearing stuff that you might not always hear, like taking on debt and watching the bottom line and not running out of money. Which comes to my other question, which is, up to this point, you haven't had VC funding, or you haven't taken on investor funding, which is very different from other alternatives, but also just startups in general. Can you explain to the listeners why that is, and what motivates you to do that?
Right. Well, we had several experiences with many offers. And every time we got one, it's me and Ivan, we just get to the whiteboard and we just start drawing a projection the future. And to me, I never liked the numbers. And when I do the projections, there's like a lot of risks. And looking back, and with everything that happens through COVID and like all this, little companies that started there and here, I saw how many risks that actually involves. And I'm really grateful that we actually working with our customers. So consider this VC is basically, it's you leveraging others' money and you putting yourself under a lot of risks, where the major focus should be your customers, because after all, this is who is paying you bills. And I think at some point I was playing ping pong with one friend of myself. He was a CTO of other company, and he was like talking about that bigger tech company advantages, and how their CEO basically went through this process of like touching the VC and then ended up to be buying the company back. So spending like 10 years of his life just to go this deep and just, coming back to you like full ownership, like the full control back. And like by listening to that and like looking at his success, I was like, this is a key, right? You literally, you want to keep the control, because this is alignment with the vision. You dictate the vision. You have this vision. This is the motivation. Like, it doesn't matter if you grow slower, but with according to your vision and your direction, I like this better because, like, after all, like, there is so many companies doing the same thing,
Yeah.
but there is never one single company who is always on top. If even in S&P, there is always like one is going up and then down and never gets back, and like up and down, up and down. They always changes. So it's not the number one position. It's basically through like living your life and doing what's aligned for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's to me very important.
I think it's incredibly invaluable, considering I worked at different startups, and most startups that exist and the ones that I've worked at all take, investor money, and that really changes the culture of what type of decisions you make. They might be more short-term focused, more high-return focused, and maybe less focused on building a stable company that's profitable, right? And you talked about the risk that might be incurred if you take investor money. What are those risks specifically?
Well, losing control is one of the risks. It's always sounds very, very sweet when there is offer. Like you started mentioning, like, it's a this and that house like I was dreaming for. Now I can afford it. But the mistake is that you're starting to live the future life, which did not happen yet. And when people, getting access to that much capital or the different lifestyle, there is always drastic change in behavior as well. And that's the most dangerous, right? It's like basically you over leverage yourself personally. You start spending too much, or you over leverage the company, and it basically depends on more and more debt after all, like, which is pretty much what we see PaaS is all about, right? You just enter and you exit. Like this is just like the bridge to the next phase of the investment.
So taking a bigger picture, what do you see the next big steps and leaps forward in the short-term rental management software industry in general?
It's blockchain and also AI. These two major trends will touch short-term rental a lot. And when I say about that, it's basically consider that the blockchain democratize everything, starting from ownership of your reviews and listings, because after all, like your bigger players like Airbnb control that for you right now, and nothing belongs to you. If they don't like you, they will wipe you out, and you would start over again from ground zero, or you need to pay this huge fees, and you don't have any other option at the moment. I strong believer that overall everything goes decentralized, and you would have ownership for your listings through the blockchain, and won't be basically consider that your direct booking website belongs to you, and all those guests and social media activities that you've done, they're working for you, and nobody can stop that, because being in a Web3 world, in the era, all the travelers would be just reaching out directly to you and making all the deals directly through your platform, through your website, and paying directly through blockchain, right?
Wow. That's crazy. I never thought of blockchain being part of the future of the Airbnb and hosting and the short-term rental space. That's a crazy take.
It is, but like pretty much, like it's the tokenizing of everything, right? So we all know blockchain for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but this is very, very first step. Consider that there is even more, right? So right now, by just investing into your own direct booking website, normally you process your payments through Stripe.
Yeah.
And Stripe is a huge company, but what they also do is they also started to accept crypto, and there is better launch that they rolled out in several countries where they accept the stable coins, and because of that, your guests can pay you directly in stable coins. That means there is no one in the middle who can stop that payment to go through, right?
Wow.
Now you own your portal, your website, your brand, and also accepting the payments directly without any bank in the middle. And because Stripe sees those volumes, the next magical thing that will come over is basically a financial industry coming to you directly with a single click of the button on Stripe. You would be having access to a lot of capital to grow your business, especially if your numbers looking good. It's after all, like me or you can invest into Stripe itself, and they will take this capital and invest into small businesses afterward. Because this is where the return of investments, right? Is if Santiago is building successful property management business and has high return, why would not me put in some value into your business and get this return instead of parking my cash into treasuries, for example?
Wow. So the payment processing software Stripe would then facilitate people just directly investing in each other, or just like getting debt capital?
I see that future that Stripe already has instruments to finance, whether it's going to be bigger VCs putting the money or yourself. And by the way, Stripe is still not public company, but I bet in that it's going to be one of the best IPOs ever in the history. They're going to be big.
Damn, that's crazy. Well, I look forward to that future where hopefully, more power gets given to the smaller guys, and they have more independence and control over their audience and revenue. So almost a decade of being co-founder and CTO of a startup that's been growing up to almost 50 people. Definitely full-time, very stressful. What do you do outside of work and being a CTO to de-stress and get your mind off iGMS?
That's a very good question. Yeah, it is stressful and every week we have new challenges, so to speak, right? So to me personally, I learned that when it's too much, I need to change my internal state. So I always use physical activity to do that. So either high intense training in the gym, or sometimes in between meetings I just jump and just do the push-ups, right? Just to make the blood going. As for the mind, it's definitely a meditation practice and yoga. What helps me to deal with the stress. And on the side, it's a music, and it's my life to play music. And during COVID, I learned how to DJ, and since that I've been practicing that and playing to my friends. So it's a completely different self-expression, so to speak, where everything is within your fingertips. Like you can control what people get into their minds, who's listening to the music, but there is no team with you. It's basically just your own solo performer. It's where at the job you basically need to be part of the team, and team needs to do the job. You just do the vision. Where here it's my alter ego, where I perform and I deliver in the flow state.
Wow. That's really well put, and it got me thinking, because I also learned how to DJ during COVID too, and that's been such a big wave. And when I start doing more technical work or have a really hard work day or week, I start getting inspired to do more creative stuff. Does you feel like the more you work on technical stuff, you're like, I also want to balance it out with, I guess, more creative?
That's true. Yeah. It's I think it's a complementary thing. We all just looking back in my journey, I come in from technical engineer skills. So I was introvert guy.
Yeah.
Where through my 30s, I was leaning to extroverting, because that part never existed in my life. So I was opening up, and DJing, I think, is pretty much the point of self-expression, where I just giving this back to the people and being myself. Same time using the technology, right? It's under your fingerprints, using the controller, so to speak.
It's a good mesh of technology and creativity. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Anywhere you want to send the listeners in terms of where they can find you or find iGMS?
I would say find me on X platform. This is where I spend more and more time these days. And of course, if you have some idea on the technology, on the where we connect or partnership, reach out through our support chat. I'm always here to meet over Zoom to get deeper on the potential partnership on the technology side.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Igor. And thank you so much for listening to all our listeners out there. My name is Santiago, and you can find iGMS at igms.com and start your 14-day free trial. As well as you can find us across all the social media channels. So YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're on there. And you can give us a follow there. So thank you so much. Have a great day.